Good evening. Good evening. My name is Craig Bolton, and welcome to tonight's CPI New Voices presentation. Cincinnati Playwrights Initiative is a nonprofit arts organization of playwrights, directors, actors, and supporters dedicated to the developing of new plays written by local playwrights. CPI is the only such organization in this area, and we're very proud to be a resident company of the Cincinnati Arts Association within this great establishment of the Aronoff Center. This is our third time tonight in the Jarson Kaplan Theater, and we're also very proud to be here. I urge you all to support CPI by coming to our events, and in doing so, you become a part of the creative process, a script in progress. In the lobby at intermission, you'll find some yellow slips. If you'd like to be sent more information about CPI, fill out one of those slips, put it in a box. There should be a box up there that you can stick it into, put it in the box, and we'll send you information. Also at the intermission, you will be able to buy tickets for our final show of the season, The Fool, written by Fred Rothschild, directed by Charlie Getz. The Fool will be performed right here on this very stage. And then, on July 19th, 2012, CPI debuts its very first full production of the winner of the Best New Voices competition. This year's winner is The Best Intentions, written by Charlie Getz, directed by Mary Jo Beresford. The New Voices series, which is what this is tonight, will resume in September. But please keep in mind that CPI has programming that goes all year round. For instance, there is the Playwriting Salon, which meets monthly on the UC campus, and admission to those readings is free, but we do ask that you make reservations. There's more information about that in your playbook. Tonight, I'm proud to present to you a new play, Al Dura, Truth or Deception, written and directed by Kalman Kivkovich, production consultant Kathy Springfield, technical director Kyle Tiemann. We'll have a 15-minute intermission after the first act, and then at the conclusion of the show, we have our traditional talk-back Q&A session, which is really the heart of this type of program that we do here. It allows you to get, allows the playwright to get feedback from you, and it's your chance to ask questions of the playwright, the director, and the actors. Everybody involved in tonight's show is a volunteer. Nobody gets paid. They work for applause, so please let's give them a round of applause now, if you will. And now the most important thing on my list, please turn off your cell phones, pagers, anything else that might make a noise. And now, without further ado, Al Dura, Truth or Deception, by Kalman Kivkovich.
Junction in the Gaza Strip. A dramatic turn of events. The Palestinians shot live ammunition, the Israelis replied. Ambulance drivers, bystanders, journalists are caught in the crossfire. Here, Mohamed al Dura and his son are the targets of gunfire from Israeli positions. Mohammed is 12 years old. His father tries to protect him. He waves, but another round of fire bursts out. Mohammed is dead and his father grievously wounded. A policeman and an ambulance driver also lost their lives in this battle. « 15 heures, tout vient de basculer près de l'implantation de Netzarim dans la bande de Gaza.
Les Palestiniens ont tiré à balles réelles, les Israéliens ripostent, ambulanciers, journalistes et simples passants sont pris entre deux feux. Ici, Jamal et son fils Mohamed sont la cible de tirs venus de la position israélienne. Mohamed a 12 ans, son père tente de le protéger. Il fait des signes, mais une nouvelle rafale. Mohamed est mort et son père gravement blessé. Un policier palestinien et un conducteur d'ambulance ont également perdu la vie au cours de cette bataille. 15 heures, tout vient de basculer près de l'implantation de Netzarim dans la bande de Gaza. Les Palestiniens ont tiré à balles réelles, les Israéliens ripostent, ambulanciers, journalistes et simples passants sont pris entre deux feux. Ici, Jamal et son fils Mohamed sont la cible de tirs venus de la position israélienne. Mohamed a 12 ans, son père tente de le protéger. Il fait des signes.
Karsenty? Oh, hello, Cherie. I'm sorry, Yes, I said I'm sorry. I'm waiting for an attorney to call. Not long. I'll be home soon, I promise. Okay. Well, I won't. I love you too. Okay.
15 heures, tout vient de basculer près de l'implantation de Netzarim dans la bande de Gaza. Les Palestiniens ont tiré à balles réelles, les Israéliens ripostent, ambulanciers, journalistes et simples passants sont pris entre deux feux. Ici, Jamal et son fils Mohamed sont la cible de tirs venus de la position israélienne. Mohamed a 12 ans, son père tente de le protéger. Il fait des signes.
On behalf of the French People's Tribunal de Grande Instance de Paris, October 19, 2006. By order of the examining magistrates of this court, Philippe Karsenty was summoned before the court to answer charges of public defamation against the national television company France 2 and its Jerusalem correspondent Charles Underland, which appeared in a press release on November 26, 2004 by the Media Ratings Company, which Monsieur Karsenty manages. The court, ruling publicly on the criminal matter as the court of first instance, in judgment rendered in the presence of the parties involved against Philippe Karsenty, defendant, in favor of the national television company France 2 and Charles Underland plaintiffs under Article 424 of the Code of Criminal Procedure.
Karsenty. Oh, Monsieur Levy. I'm so glad you called. Oh, no problem. No problem at all. I know how busy you are. That's why I called you. Oh, well, Monsieur Levy, I was hoping that you would be my lawyer at my appeal. Yes. Well, he's a fine attorney, but we decided to part ways. Amicably, of course. Well, Monsieur Levy, I wish that I did not have to call you, but I can't get over the shock of losing my first trial. I'm determined to fight this corruption, but I need your help. Look, Monsieur Levy, I will pay you twice your usual fee if you win. No, I'm quite serious. Well, I know my chances, but I believe in the truth. Wonderful. Let me see. Next Monday? Next Monday is fine. 2 p.m. it is. Oh, Monsieur Levy, I have a delicate request. Would it be out of the question to meet here in my office? Well, you see, I have the large screen television and all the documentation in place, so very generous of you. Okay. I'll see you on Monday then. All right. Yes.
To the courtroom. Please call me Mark.
It's a deal, Mark. Call me Philippe. Please have a seat.
Thank you. Good, Philippe. We are off to a good start. My Monet, c'est belle. Picasso. This will come in handy.
Yes, I'm all for visual. You know, that was the problem in the first trial. Not enough visual. Not enough public relations, and not enough media exposure.
Well, not enough positive media exposure. I recall plenty of lynching-like coverage.
Yes, that has been a problem. I need to change that.
I must tell you that none of this will be easy. This is an uphill battle, especially with a devastating start. We are still in Paris with the same court system and the same followers.
Yeah, well, I do still trust in the court system. If anything, it's the only thing I trust. Now, if we lose hope in that, then God help us.
I like your attitude. I admire your courage. Not that I'm implying anything, but you remind me of Don Quixote charging the windmills. It seems like the whole world is against you.
Well, it does feel like the whole world is against me sometimes, but I can't let Israel down, or the Jewish people. You know, this is the worst thing that's happened to Israel or the Jews since the Holocaust.
Aren't you exaggerating a bit?
No, I'm not. It's the truth.
Let's get to work. Now, here's the deal. You are by all means the big expert of this all. You have been with this for 2 years or more. I will take care of all the legal aspects, but I'll depend upon your hard work. You will be on center stage. You and your witnesses will explain to the court whatever there is to explain, but you will be the engine, so to speak, in court and away from court.
I'm ready.
Show me what you've got.
Okay. Please, the television.
Please.
15 heures, tout vient de basculer près de l'implantation de Netzarim dans la bande de Gaza. Des Palestiniens ont tiré à balles réelles, les Israéliens ripostent, ambulanciers, journalistes et simples passants sont pris entre deux feux. Ici, Jamal et son fils Mohamed sont la cible de tirs venus de la position israélienne. Mohamed a 12 ans, son père tente de le protéger. Il fait des signes, mais une nouvelle rafale. Mohamed est mort et son père gravement blessé. Un policier palestinien et un conducteur d'ambulance ont également perdu la vie au cours de cette bataille.
That was the original France 2 TV broadcast of September 30th, 2000. 55 seconds of it. You know, Andalal speaks as if he is right there in the midst of the crossfire. He was in Ramallah, the West Bank, for crying out loud.
It looks quite real to me.
I hope that I do not have to convince you that this was a hoax.
No, you don't. But if you want to have a chance to witness, you must cover every angle and see things from the point of view of your rivals. Now, looking at this tape and listening to a prominent reporter such as Charles Andalin leaves little doubt as to the validity of this news.
Yes, I agree. They did a good job, but not good enough. We have other tapes and experts' analyses.
A lot of this material existed before the trial, but you were handed a defeat nevertheless. As I said before, this is an uphill battle. The French government owns France 2 national TV. Therefore, the French government is your opponent. President Chirac is your opponent.
Yes, of course he is. You know, Andalin didn't even bother to appear in court. His lawyer presented a personal letter from President Chirac. How great and trustworthy he is. The court need nothing else.
I see we are on the same page.
With regard to Chirac.
Also Chirac.
That son of a bitch. What an anti-Semite.
I don't think I would go that far.
I believe that he is, and for sure he hates Israel. I can't wait for his term to end. 2007 cannot come quick enough.
We must put on all the pressure we can muster to convince the court to demand that France 2 release all films taken at the time. If we do that, we have a chance. Slight chance, but a chance.
Well, hey, that's why you're here. That's why I went out and got me the best lawyer in all of Paris. Oh, and let me remind you of that double fee if you win.
We need to prepare. You need to prepare a good presentation of all facts. Rebuttals, experts' reports, diagrams, what have you. It has to be done with as much visual as possible. I'm baffled that there was none of this at the first trial. No demand for the raw films, no cross-examination. Cross-examination of witnesses? That was one big farce.
Yes, well, I shall do whatever is needed. Professor Richard Landis, in particular, will be of great help to us. He was our expert in the first trial, and I can also say he's become a dear friend.
Remember, the procedures for the appeal are different from the first trial. No witnesses are permitted. We can only use their written statements. Handwritten statements, to be exact.
Yes, I know. How ridiculous. We're in the computer era, and you must handwrite things. I can see people getting blisters on their fingers.
Anyway, I think you have the picture as to what is needed. I also want you to spread the word as far as you can. Lectures, interviews, media, whatever you can get. We must, and I'll repeat again, we must reverse public opinion to be somewhat more favorable toward us. Look, I have another appointment. I have to go. Let's get him.
I wish it could be under different circumstances.
Oh, yes, I know, but things will get better, I'm sure of it.
I hate these long flights. The Concorde retired way too early.
How's the new attorney? Oh, great! You'll meet him soon enough. Hey, I offered to pay him twice his fee.
Double the fee? Is that why he agreed to take the case? I wish I could get offers like that. I have to take a sabbatical to find the time to do anything.
Water? No, I'm sure he would have taken the case regardless, but I couldn't help myself. I was energized at the time. He gets the extra only if we win.
Well, I hope we'll do better this time. Frankly, I've lost faith in the French judicial system. That first trial was one big farce. I spent so much time preparing my testimony. Those assholes didn't even mention my testimony. Nada.
I know. We're in the same boat, remember? Hey, it's funny. Mark Levy, the new attorney, he used those exact same words when we met. That was one big farce. He said that.
Well, now I'm convinced you have a good lawyer.
Well, naturally, he knows about you. We're both counting on your testimony.
Some testimony. Handwritten. Wonder who came up with that brilliant idea.
Yes, I know, but you'll survive. Hey, any success with your blogs?
Well, the second draft is still doing okay. I'm constantly coming up with new takes, which takes time and money. I can't believe I find the time to do all that, and teach college, and answer calls from help from Israel, and Paris.
Well, it's reserved only for the best, and you, Richard, you're one of the best. It comes with the territory.
Now, coming from you, a genuine hero in my book, that puts me at ease. How's the family?
They're fine.
Yeah. And you're still the Meshuggah in the clan, huh?
Well, can you blame them?
No. But I hate to see what it does to you.
Yes, well, they know I'm right, but they do also hate to see what it does to me. Anyway, the less they're involved, the better.
I agree with you.
Mark, he insists that I call him Mark. He wants me to be the one to present our case in court. He will intervene whenever necessary. Now, I hope the court will grant me to use this large screen television. In the second round, we want more visual. You know what? I want to create a nice PowerPoint presentation, and you and I can combine the data that we have, video diagrams in particular. Mark wants a mock trial.
Well, let's give him one.
All right.
Now, this chart shows the various positions at the Netzarim Junction. This is north, and this is the road leading to Gaza. And this is the road leading to the Israeli settlement of Netzarim. Here is an Israeli position next to an abandoned factory warehouse and two high-rise buildings. Now, here across the road is a Palestinian position called the Pita, for its shape. Here at the junction is another Palestinian position and another smaller one up here. Now this is the famous barrel behind which the Al Duras crouched for cover from alleged Israeli fire from the Israeli position here.
Yes, and the France 2 photographer Abu Rama took his position here next to the street. He stands right by the street, in between the Pita and the barrel.
Now, from the barrel to the Israeli position is about 80 meters. Now, the Israelis have no clear shot at the Al Duras if they hide behind the barrel.
And they were. Now, see this? From the Pita to the barrel, the distance is about 50 meters. The Palestinians have a straight shot at the father and son. Well, if they manage to avoid hitting the photographer.
Now, we know there were a number of other photographers at the junction that day. There was also one from the Associated Press, located here, and one from Reuters took a position here, right behind the Al Duras.
Now, the Israelis never left their position. At least that much is undisputed. The soldiers remained in their fenced shelter while young rioters threw stones and Molotov cocktails at them. There are shots fired, but not at the Al Duras. One moment.
Now, these arrows show the directions and angles. From the Pita, it's a straight shot at the al Duras, but from the Israeli position, it's about 30 degrees. Now, if we adopt the Palestinian claim that the Israelis shot at the boy in so-called crossfire or cold blood, we must assume that the Palestinians were also shooting, but at the Israelis, not at the boy. But you can see here, the Palestinians, the Israeli position is out of sight of the Pita, protected by the factory. So what were the Palestinians shooting at?
At the al Duras, of course. You can actually tell this from the video and audio. The shots come from behind the photographer and from damn close to him. You can actually see him panic.
Why do you eliminate the possibility that the shots came from the Israeli position? I can see that the barrel protected the al Duras from the Israelis, but from this drawing, I can see that possibility.
Patience, Mark. We do have this covered.
Excuse me while you two fight this out. I'm going to get my mail. Be back in a second.
I felt like he was about to chew me up.
Don't worry, Mark. He understands your contribution to this battle. These are just expressions of his persistence. Besides, he is under tremendous pressure.
Sons of bitches! Now I'm a child killer!
We are watching you, child killer? I'm sorry, this isn't new, is it?
No, it's not.
You must be feeling terrible.
Yes, I feel awful. Maybe I should just quit. That's what I should do. I should quit. I'm putting my family in danger. I have no idea who these people are, what they're capable of.
Take it easy, Philippe.
Easier said than done.
I understand. I have a family too, but we're fighters, not quitters. Now look how far we've come. Now, there's only one way for us to go, and that's forward, Philippe. And you're the leader.
I'm sorry, I'm so tired. I hate these bastards. I hate you bastards!
What about the police?
I've complained many times. If they have no proof of who could be behind this, what are they supposed to do? Besides, you know how popular I am in Paris? Even the fucking president wants me out!
Anytime you take a position with opposing views, there are always a few bullies who try to intimidate you.
Yeah, and sometimes spill your blood.
Oh, now I see what I've gotten myself into.
Oh, you want out too?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Hey, look, with all this drama, we need a little humor. Otherwise, it will drive us all crazy.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mark.
I understand. I understand.
These threats come in different forms. Sometimes it makes me more angry, and sometimes I try not to pay too much attention to it. You know, Richard gets similar threats. He's been in this longer than I have. Give me a second. You're right. I'm not a quitter. And you're right. They want us to quit, but we move forward.
Yes.
Now you understand why I try to keep my family out of all this.
Oh, I understand. Hey, let's look at some tape, shall we? Please begin with France 2's original clip. I would like to see it uninterrupted, and then we'll add the editorials.
Excuse me.
Please. Everybody sit.
15 heures, tout vient de basculer près de l'implantation de Netzarim dans la bande de Gaza. Les Palestiniens ont tiré à balles réelles, les Israéliens ripostent, ambulanciers, journalistes et simples passants sont pris entre deux feux. Ici, Jamal et son fils Mohamed sont la cible de tirs venus de la position israélienne. Mohamed a 12 ans. Son père tente de le protéger. Il fait des signes, mais une nouvelle rafale. Mohamed est mort et son père gravement blessé. Un policier palestinien et un conducteur d'ambulance ont également perdu la vie au cours de cette bataille.
As I said before, it seems quite factual.
The clip was composed of a series of short, discontinuous, independent segments selected from this larger pool of raw footage and then pieced together. All are poor quality.
Okay, add your commentary.
Segment 1. This is the Palestinian position at the junction, the one opposite the Israeli post, over here. Now, we hear the firing of automatic weapons. We also see that this Palestinian policeman fires an automatic weapon in the direction of the Israelis. We also see scores of civilians run to the left to clear the area.
The set. To clear the set.
Go on, go on.
Segment 2. A Palestinian police jeep under Israeli fire.
Alleged Israeli fire.
Right, please. Now, the policeman grabs his right leg and falls to the ground. We should assume that he was hit by Israeli fire. Alleged Israeli fire.
Please.
But wait, he couldn't possibly have been hit in the right leg from the Israeli position. The leg that is against the jeep.
And no sign of blood.
Now watch this. Segment 3. An ambulance arrives on the scene. Please note the instant appearance. Not even a second.
It takes longer than that to reach for your cell phone. Not to mention, it taking time to die.
Don't forget it's supposedly under fire. One might forget the number or even having a cell phone altogether.
Yeah, now I see that you also have a sense of humor. I like that.
Segment 4 is the evacuation of the photographer. Oh, look at that! This is a photographer. He's running to take photos in the line of incoming fire. He must be suicidal or able to dodge bullets. Now, segment 5 shows us some Palestinians taking cover from the alleged Israeli fire. A few of them are yelling and waving in the direction of the Israelis. Some of them seem just standing or calmly conversing. Segment 6, here we finally get to see the Al Duras, but only for 2 seconds. We hear a shot and see the spot where there's dust and the bullet hits the wall, and the two are crouching behind that barrel in the direction of the Israelis. Now segment 7 jumps to show the Israeli post that is under attack from rioters. Now you see here smoke and fire near the wall. The building is under attack from Molotov cocktails thrown from nearby rooftops. Now we believe that this footage was actually shot earlier in the day during rioting at the junction. Now, in the next segment, we're finally back to the Al Duras, Jamal and the 12-year-old Mohammed. The father shields the son. Then he yells something in the direction of the frost-tube cameraman, then yells and waves in the direction of the Israelis, and then back toward Al Dura.
Now, from this distance, he couldn't possibly identify the Israelis, much less communicate with them in the middle of a noisy gun battle. If anything, Abu Rama is much closer.
Still, this looks real. One can claim that both are terrified and the father yells for help in both directions.
Again, we believe the shots came from the Pita, and the whole thing was staged. There were no shots aimed at the Al Duras from the Israeli position, and we do have evidence to prove it.
Serious gunfire, smoke and dust. The picture blurs, partially due to the dust, but also the camera jerks violently. Now the sound of the shots is so loud and close that the cameraman jumps and changes position. See, the shots were coming from the pita behind him. Now, when all is clear and all the dust settles, the boy appears, he lies motionless, and the father slightly moves his head.
Again, there's no sign of blood on the body or on the wall.
Now, in this last segment, we just see some unrelated ambulance evacuation in the junction area.
And now we're coming to view the best part. What you've seen so far was part of the original transmission. The Palestinian photographer Abu Rama sent his raw footage to France 2's correspondent, Charles Anderland, in Jerusalem. Anderland sent his footage, edited this footage into a 55-second clip, which made the news on France 2 television. They also gave this clip for free to all the other major world networks.
Naturally.
No one, other than a very few, would have known anything else but for a fortunate, careless mistake made by France 2 and its Jerusalem correspondent. Anderland decided to post this clip on his website, on his blog, on France 2's website. And when he did this, he used the wrong clip. This clip was 2 to 3 seconds longer. And in this extra footage, the dead boy and his father reappear. And then something extraordinary occurs. Philippe? Did you see? The dead boy raises his elbow and his right leg, then he lifts his head and sneakily looks around, then he returns his head and elbow to the dead position, but he seems to forget about his leg. It remains suspended in the air for the remainder of the clip.
Now this proves that at least at the end of the this extended segment, the boy is quite alive. In the original, Anderland clearly declares his death. Anyway, this is one major evidence. We have plenty more.
Wait just a moment. Couldn't it have been a spasm of sorts? Spasm?
We asked prominent doctors. No. The boy changed position several times using voluntary muscles that only living people can activate. Why do you suppose this segment was omitted from the original clip?
Your point is quite clear. What I am still missing is Anderland's motive to lie. He's a reputable and accomplished journalist. He's Jewish and holds an Israeli citizenship.
The answer to that is complicated. The photographer works for France 2, and Anderland feels the need to support him. When Abu Rama sent him the footage, he claimed the Israelis murdered the boy in cold blood. Now, Anderland knows that Abu Rama openly supports Hamas and has been involved in many cases of unethical filming in the past. I call it Hollywood. But he feels the need to support it. Now, being a correspondent in Jerusalem exposes Anderland to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which often is volatile and involves shooting, injuries, and death. He used the footage because it corresponded with the situation in the West Bank and Gaza. Rioting, Israeli open fire, people being injured and killed. Now, as to the point of him being Jewish and Israeli, this is not unusual. Left and liberal movements in Israel often are critical of Israel. Also, Anderland represents the French media, which for sure is not sympathetic to Israel.
Right. In France, it is popular to be anti-Israeli. Now, one thing is certain, that once the news was out, they added lies to cover the lies, too embarrassed to tell the truth. As I said before, we have plenty more evidence. We have other films shot by cameramen representing other Western networks. And these films are by far better quality. And what we see is various scenes with which Abu Rama conveniently shot only sight bites. Now, these films are by far better quality, and they show this Hollywood in action.
Let's see them.
Le revoici quelques instants plus tard, un peu plus loin sur le carrefour. On retrouve l'homme au gilet qui passait précédemment et qui agite les bras. Il s'excuse.
You see it here, the director yell, "Everything is ruined! We have to do it again!"
Oh, my.
Now, this also made the news that day. Now, we know the scene is the abandoned factory next to the Israeli position. Now, it looks like a real battle with house-to-house fighting. He must be firing at the Israelis, but he can't shoot at them from here. The factory's in the way. Now, this next footage is actually shot earlier. It shows the inside of the hole in the wall. The factory is showing the room here. He's showing the space he'll soon be spraying with bullets. You see a crowd of people, civilians, and a few military men. Now, in a moment here, you'll see a civilian giving orders to a soldier. Shouldn't it be the other way around? And now orders come to clear the area. You see the soldiers line up against the wall as if taking cover from the Israelis. And now here's our fighter running to the hole and firing into an empty room.
Now this clearly indicates a staged scene, but you only need a few seconds of it for it to become news. Abu Rama's method is to seek out those sight bites and make them news.
I saw the boy laying down. His father left. And the father moved this like this. In that minute, I was sure the boy got killed. I was screaming, the boy is dead, the boy is dead.
In fact, he started shouting, "The boy is dead," long before he was allegedly hit. Obviously wrong timing.
Look, is it at all possible that he yelled that because he was sure the boy would never survive the hail of bullets?
If that was the case, why didn't he shout, "They are dead"?
I don't know.
Anyway, that's not the only time he lied. He testified under oath that he filmed 27 minutes, but only 1 minute exists. He testified under oath that the Israelis fired for 45 minutes, but on the wall we see only a few bullet holes.
Yes, there should have been thousands of bullet holes. Besides, this is completely absurd. If the Israelis had really wanted to kill a boy, they could have chosen one from the ones who were throwing stones at them, not at the al Duras. Besides, even if they did want to kill the al Duras, they would have been dead in 2 seconds, not 45 minutes.
Abu Rama testified under oath that the boy bled for nearly 20 minutes. The blood mysteriously evaporated.
Yeah, and so did the bullets. No bullets were recovered that we know of. Oh. Well, Abu Rama says that he did in fact recover some bullets, but he can't elaborate on it due to some secrets that he has to keep.
We have evidence, the gun with the bullet. I finished the gun with the bullet. We pick up the bullet from the wall.
What bullet was it? What would you say? How long was it?
I don't know. You interviewed one from the general. He could tell you.
So you're doing a better investigation?
No. We have some secrets, for our sake.
For our sake.
3 years after the event, under pressure, agreed to show 20 minutes of raw footage to a select few. With the help of a mutual friend, I was given the privilege to be one of them. He didn't know that I already suspected the footage was fake. Yeah, most of the scenes were unrelated and screamed that they were staged. You know what Andales said to me when confronted?
No.
They do it all the time. It is their culture style. They exaggerate. He also said, I firmly believe there has been no manipulation. Nothing has been fabricated. Oh, and yet, he refuses to release the raw footage for close examination.
It's shameful. Underlaw knows it's a fake. He knows it. But he keeps defending it regardless.
Unfamiliar either with Al Dura or Philippe Karsenty, an abbreviated review is in order. On September 30th, 2000, about 6 years ago, France 2 TV broadcast footage of a shootout in Gaza, zooming in on a Palestinian father and his 12-year-old son taking cover behind a concrete drum. According to the report, filmed by a Palestinian reporter for the state-run French network, the boy, Mohamed al Dura, was killed by the IDF, Israeli Defense Force. What ensued was a dispute that is yet to be fully resolved. The Israeli Defense Establishment called the incident unfortunate. The Palestinian Authority referred to it as murder and hailed al Dura as a martyr. Left-wing groups pointed to it as evidence of Israeli brutality against the Palestinians. Right-wing groups used it as an example of Israel bashing. However, there were also a few people who began to claim that the Israelis didn't kill the boy, that in fact, the cameraman had staged the whole episode. One of these people is Philippe Karsenty, a 40-year-old French Jewish businessman, married and father of two. Mr. Karsenty, why have you devoted so much of your time, energy, and money on the Al Dura affair? Why, after all these years, is your campaign to disprove the Al Dura story still going so strong?
Well, the Mohammed al Dura image instantly became an icon that altered public consciousness. Many, even in Israel, do not understand how powerful his image is. It is everywhere and in every mind. Ask any Muslim in the world, or even non-Muslims by now, who he is, and they will reply, "Oh, Mohammed al Dura, the Israelis murdered that poor young boy."
Why do you think the Israelis are not aware of this?
Well, when you live in a country in which 80% of the people are Jewish, you don't really know what anti-Semitism is. You're insulated. You don't have these pictures of Mohammed al Dura posted everywhere, nor do you have the type of experiences that people outside of Israel have.
There have been many cases of Palestinians accusing Israel of atrocities and gaining support of people all over the world. What has made you so passionate and get so personally involved in this particular one?
Well, often when you read the newspaper, watch television, listen to the radio, what you are told is that the Israelis are like Nazis, with this Nazi-like army. There has never been an image as powerful as that of al Dura in the history of Israel. Since World War II, there hasn't been such a powerful tool to fan the flames of anti-Semitism. Now, I feel that I see the light, and anybody who sees the light has the responsibility to share it. Unfortunately, neither the IDF nor the Israeli Foreign Ministry has done its job counteracting these lies. One image is stronger than a zillion words. And this particular image has become a symbol, a brand name like Coca-Cola.
He's not the only Palestinian to have been killed in the crossfire.
Well, before responding, I would just like to say that there is no doubt that people on both sides, Palestinians and Israelis, have suffered a great deal in this long and terrible conflict. Now, I am so sorry for that, and I hope and pray that peace will come to both. And I particularly feel for the suffering of young children through all this. Now, with that said, I still feel compelled to expose deception on both sides. Now, according to the Palestinian version of events, al Dura wasn't killed in the crossfire. They say that the IDF shot at him for 45 minutes without let-up. Now, for years, Arabs have been implicating Israel in all kinds of hoaxes that turned out, in all kinds of massacres that turned out to be a hoax. But you didn't have any pictures to go along with it. You couldn't put the image on a T-shirt. Now, over the past 6 years, many Jews have died because of this al Dura image. If we don't do something to correct it, Jews will continue to die as a result of it. It has become the reason in people's minds for why Israel must be destroyed.
Are you saying that if this image is corrected, that Jews won't continue to die, and that others won't think that Israel has to be destroyed? Can't new images always emerge?
Well, you know, it's like bathing. You don't take a shower once and be done with it. Every time you get dirty, you have to take another shower, right? It's the same with Israel. Every time you are slandered, you have to come out and clear your name again. It's your job to defend yourself. Now, you talk about peace, but who would want to make peace with a country that is perceived to kill young children? You have to make all understand that you don't kill children for sport. Now, in France, anti-Semites are interested in this al Dura image precisely because it feeds what they already feel. Now, the image doesn't tell you what's on that video. Your attitude toward that image tells you who you are. Now, Jews are fighting the worst enemy in the Western world, radical Islam and those who side with it. They see Israel as an island of the West among Muslim lands.
From various Palestinian films, they are using the al Dura image as positive reinforcement for martyrdom. Any comments?
That's precisely my point. Go to Jordan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, various other places, and see the name of Mohamed al Dura, along with that famous image of him and his father, on postage stamps, in plazas, even on the dress of a beauty pageant contestant.
If this image is so widespread, isn't it too late to erase it?
No, it is not too late. But we'll need to enlist the help of presidents, namely French presidents. I gave up on Chirac. But perhaps the next president will do the right thing. Maybe it'll be Nicolas Sarkozy. I know him well because I ran against him in the parliament 4 years ago, and we had a good relationship. Now, 2 years ago, I went to him and I said, Nicolas, I'm being unfairly sued by France too. Can you help me? And he said, look, Philippe, I am only a minister, but when I am president, I will do something to solve this case. Well, he's always saying that he's against anti-Semitism and that he loves America and Israel. He is part Jew, you know. Well, time will tell.
If the verdict ends up being in your favor, will you sue?
That depends on the reaction of France, and France too. Now, if they apologize to the world, then I probably wouldn't sue, but remember, the reason that I'm in the middle of this legal battle to begin with is because they sued me after I accused them of fraud.
Has the struggle on behalf of Israel's reputation brought you any closer to Israel?
No. In fact, it's had the opposite effect. Watching Israel refuse to clear its name on the subject has made me angry and frustrated. Even the French court mentioned it. If the material was faked, why is the Israeli government not backing you? What do I answer to that?
What do you answer to that?
It's hard to find the words, but I can tell you it's like cancer spreading from one appendage to the rest of the body. The Arabs lie, the media lies, and Israel does nothing.
I find my next question relevant. Do you think there's a difference between anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism?
Well, yes, they're quite different. Anti-Semites are honest, at least. Anti-Zionists are hypocritical. They hate the Jews and have found a way to be anti-Semitic without actually admitting to it.
What's next for Philippe Karsenty?
Working and fighting, of course, to win the appeal.
To our Canadian viewers, good evening. Philippe Karsenty is the founder of Media Ratings, an independent body that assesses the reliability of information circulated by the media. This entangled him with the notorious Al Dura affair when France 2 and its reporter sued him after he published a report claiming their televised report was a hoax. Mr. Karsenty, can you briefly summarize the political context that surrounds Al Dura?
Yes, well, the France 2 report reignited the fire in the Middle East. Remember Daniel Pearl, the Wall Street Journal reporter?
Yes.
Well, he was murdered in revenge for Mohamed al Dura. Also, that report was released about a year before September 11th. That is to say, a year before radical Islam became a global concern.
What evidence did you have when you first accused the reporter, Charles Sunderland, with a false report, staged scene, and media hoax?
Well, first I would like to point out that it was not I who discovered the deception, but an Israeli researcher. His work has been published in France. Now initially, like anyone else, I was skeptical of this accusation. So I looked at the documents and I analyzed them very carefully. Now, very quickly I was able to determine that the France 2 report was indeed a farce. Opposition climbed and soon I became a target. So I extended the investigation and I gathered more evidence, and even more evidence to demonstrate the evidence. All of it led me to the same conclusion. The France 2 report of September 30th, 2000 is a mere staging.
But despite the damaging evidence, France 2 and Charles Sunderland still sued you for libel. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm not complaining. Since, after all, at the time, France 2 kept refusing to look at our documents, or even to discuss the reality of their images, I deliberately chose to provoke them by publishing the article, challenging them to sue me in court. Now the sad thing is that they are employing the ostrich policy, keeping their heads buried in the sand. They also lie, conceal, and manipulate.
Do we know today if Mohamed al Dura is dead or alive?
My work ends when the France 2 cameraman closes his camera. I have no way of knowing what happens next, not in the next minute, hour, or weeks thereafter.
So, tell us about Media Ratings. What motivated you to create it?
Well, Media Ratings was created in response to the inaccuracies and sometimes outright lies that the French media were producing on so many subjects. I gathered a group of individuals, intellectuals, teachers, etc. And together we formed a strict method of analysis. And we cover all types of subjects from French politics to international politics to the economy. And we've gained a great deal of credibility on a great many themes, particularly anti-Americanism and anti-Semitism.
So, tell us, how do you do it? How do you monitor the French media's bias on the last two themes?
Well, anti-Americanism and anti-Semitism are very prevalent in the French media, but not only there. They are also present in French intellectual life and everywhere in French society, from the bottom to the top. Anti-Americanism is particularly prevalent in French intellectual circles. If you were to ask a French diplomat why America was going to war against Saddam, they would reply that it was because President Bush was receiving his marching orders from Israel. And now, if you listen to the French media, the only country in danger is Israel. And French people don't want to go to war against 1 billion Muslims to defend only 6 million Jews.
And anti-Semitism?
Anti-Semitism is a bit more complex than that. Now, in France, you can't just go around saying, I hate the Jews. But it is very positive for your career as an intellectual, a journalist, or a diplomat to say that Israel is an evil state and you would like it to disappear. A French prime minister once said that Israel is a parenthesis of history that will not be around much longer.
So, why is it so difficult to resolve the Al Dura controversy?
Because the French elites are happy with controversy. It confirms their feeling of hatred toward Israel and the Jews. Now, on the other side, Israel is really unwilling to defend itself, mainly because they have certain deals with France regarding Iran, Syria, Lebanon, etc. And they don't want to endanger the relationship with France.
So, can you tell us a little bit about your family? I know you have a wife and 2 children.
I'm sorry, I'd rather not talk about my family. There are enough threats as it is through all this, and I try to keep them out of all this fiasco.
We understand, so we won't.
Thank you.
Philippe Karsenty, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Philippe, my son, how can you give up a successful business and do this? You have a wife and children. Philippe, I love you, but maybe it is time to stop.
Philippe, listen to your father. Listen to your own wife. I love you, but you're risking your job, our money, our future. How can you win when the whole world is against you? You're out of your mind. Philippe!
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 No!
Karsenty, look, I really don't have time for this right now. I'm quite busy. What paper did you say again? Paris Express, huh? Well, how long will this take? Just a few minutes. It's always just a few minutes. Very well, I shall give you a few minutes. Let me put you on the speakerphone, please.
Monsieur Karsenty, you keep fighting France 2 and Anderland, and now we are close to the appeals proceedings. Do you ever doubt yourself? Are you so sure of being right?
Well, I doubt myself all the time, and I wonder every day if I'm wrong or not. When someone introduces me to an element intended to contradict my argument, I analyze. Now, so far, I have never been convinced by any of the arguments of my opponents. Now, if that changes, I would bow and apologize to France 2, and more importantly, to those who have trusted me for so many years. And I would grieve for the loss of an innocent young life. What interests me is the truth.
Monsieur Karsenty, how do you make a living? What do you live on? Are you funded by Jewish organizations?
You mean after the Holocaust business, the Al Dura business, huh? Always the same insinuations by those who practice anti-Semitism without even realizing it.
Oh, you are mistaken, Monsieur Karsenty. I am Jewish myself.
Yes, and so is Charles Underlaw. Did you ever think to call him and ask him the same question? How does he make a living? No, you don't have to answer that. I know the answer. And no, I am not funded by Jewish organizations.
Monsieur Karsenty,
I know the meaning of your question, and I will answer it. The first thing to understand is that I am completely independent. No one can come to me and say, "Oh, monsieur, here you go too far." And you know what? That is essential to conduct a legal battle like this. Now, more and more organizations and individuals, Jewish or not, support me. But they support me morally, not financially, because they've agreed to look at the France 2 report. So, what do I live on? Well, first, I was not born poor. Now, second, I am a former stockbroker, a successful one, if I may add. And third, I am regularly invited to major American universities, Stanford, Harvard, UCLA, to name a few. And according to the rules that apply in the United States, these conferences are paid. And that is fortunate because the costs incurred during this legal battle are quite high. There's legal fees, travel documentation, etc.
Apart from a few Jewish institutions, you claim to have many supporters abroad. Can you say more?
Yes, well, abroad, people are willing to look at the documents that I have, and they're always impressed. Now, a few French journalists were also impressed, but they prefer to remain discreet so as not to burn in the profession, so to speak, or in writing.
Monsieur Karsenty, you often use the anti-Semitism card. Don't you feel it's unfair to use it in France? I don't have any problem walking in the streets of Paris.
What exactly do you call the burning of synagogues, the desecration of cemeteries, slogans to kill the Jews, high school Halloween pranks?
We don't see it here too often.
How often do you need to see it before it raises a red flag? Can you answer me that? Don't bother.
Oh, Monsieur Karsenty,
You know what? I said only a few minutes. I really have to go now.
But...
I'm sorry. Goodbye. Monsieur Karsenty, how do you make a living?
Philippe, relax. You shouldn't let those reporters get to you. You know well they have an agenda.
Yes, I know. That is precisely why it makes me so angry. The media are powerful. What happened to good journalism, huh?
I understand. We're fighting the same battle. At times, I get so angry myself at the whole world. How can they be so blind to the truth? But I'll tell you, my friend, there's something about you that remains a mystery to me. It's clear that you're passionate about the truth. It's also clear that you're willing to sacrifice so much to bring about the truth. But is that the only thing that drives you? The truth? There must be something more powerful than that.
Truth is powerful.
I know, but I'm a historian, not a psychologist, but I'm sure there must be something more.
You know, I really don't know what you're talking about, Richard.
I'm talking about the other something that drives you.
Richard, I don't think this is the time or the place!
Maybe we can continue this another time.
I'm just trying to understand.
Okay! Do you think that it can't happen again? Auschwitz? It can. We have been living with anti-Semitism for so long, struggling to survive. My parents came to France from North Africa because of anti-Semitism. You would think that this would be a safe haven. But no, anti-Semitism is here too, and very much alive. I was born in Paris. I am French. But it means nothing to those who hate you. My family has worked hard to succeed and get established. We never asked for a handout. Well, look around. A little over 6 decades ago, French Jews were loaded onto trains and shipped off to Auschwitz. And can it happen again? Yes, it can! And that is what drives me forward. So there you go, Mr. Freud. Can we get back to work now? Okay. Yeah. Thank you, fellas. Oh, you know, there is one other thing that does drive me forward. My resentment toward the media.
Oh, okay.
No matter what evidence you throw in their face, their reaction can be summarized by a simple 2-letter word followed by a question mark. There's no blood. So? There are no bullets. So? The boy moves after he's been declared dead. So? There's no ambulance evacuation of the father and the son. So? All of the footage that Abu Rama shot before the Al Dura scene was clearly staged. So? I needed that so bad. Not that Sarkozy is my political idol. He is not. But, whoa, careful there, you haven't had a drink yet. I still would like to toast the new president. And mostly to no more Chirac.
Oh.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Now let's hope that he'll remember me and his promises.
Don't hold your breath, my friend.
So, what else do we have to do today other than validate elections?
Ballistics study. We're going to have a 90-page report.
90!
Yes, 90, but a 1-page diagram.
Good.
Now, these arrows show us the direction of the bullets if fired at the Al Duras from the Israeli position. When bullets traveling in this direction hit the wall, they will create oval holes, not round.
Oh.
The dust they will create will reflect back in the other direction at about 30 or so degrees, also in that oval shape. Now these arrows are coming from the Palestinian position at the pita. They in fact will create round holes, and the dust will reflect back in the direction of the pita, also in a round shape. Now the video clearly shows the round holes, and we also see the shape of the dust, round. Therefore, the report concludes that the shots that show the marks in the video could not have possibly have come from the Israeli position, but only from head on, and we know who was there. So the report concludes that the shots must have come from the Palestinian position at the pita. The report also concludes that no evidence of impact of military ammunition makes its marks on the bodies. The report also concludes that Israeli soldiers at the junction used sniper rifles, which fire only single rounds. What we see and hear in the video with the Al Duras is automatic gunfire.
Add to this, there was no autopsy performed, no bullets recovered from the bodies. We can only go with what we have.
Yes. Now, we have a sworn statement by an Israeli surgeon attributing the father's scars to knife and hatchet wounds incurred in 1992 when he was attacked by Palestinians. Hamas suspected that he had been collaborating with Israelis.
That's good.
We have more. With a biometric analysis of faces, it shows that the boy in the video is not the same boy who was shown at the morgue of Gaza and buried in that day.
It gets more and more interesting.
The boy who died and was buried under the name of Mohamed al Dura arrived at the hospital before 10 a.m., while the scene shown was shot after 3 p.m.
Must have been a Hollywood time capsule.
The scene was shot after 3 p.m. Military experts studying the shadows confirmed it. The boy in the video, whatever his name is not the same boy that was shown at the morgue of Gaza and then buried later that day.
Philippe, from what I've seen, I want you to present statements of Enderlin and the reporter, photographer, that were made on various occasions in past years. Comparing them to our experts' reports will make them look like idiots.
Abu Rama testified under oath that he filmed 27 minutes of the incident. In one interview, he claimed to have filmed 6 minutes.
That's what I'm talking about.
Now, in one version of the story, Abu Rama says he went over to the junction at around 7 a.m. on a hunch that the children would be out demonstrating. Why? Because it was a school day. Palestinian children demonstrate on school days. Now, in another version of his story, Abu Rama says he ran over to the junction after 3 p.m. when someone called his office to inform him that there were furious battles going on. Now, from all the films we have, we know that he was there from early morning. A dozen or so of his colleagues had that same intuition. They, too, can be seen in the raw footage.
Now, in addition, I've seen outtakes of an interview in which Abu Rama tells how he learned the identities of the victims. Leaving the junction around 4:30 p.m., he bumped into a colleague and showed him the images he just filmed. This other journalist, who just happened to be a relative of the Al Duras, supplied the names of the victims. No, but that's not all. The mourners and the massive funeral procession, which allegedly took place before sundown that very day, carried Mohammed al Dura posters. You wonder where and when they were printed?
Oh, all part of Hollywood.
I begin to like this term. Hollywood. It grows on you.
Now look here. This photo was taken a day after the alleged shooting. There was no blood in any previous film or photos. They realized that might raise a few eyebrows. So the next day, they went and supplied some bright red, fresh blood. But wait, even if we missed this before, all this blood was where the father crouched, none where the boy lay. Mohammed was the one who allegedly died from major wounds to the stomach, bleeding for over 20 minutes.
Talking about fabrication, a Palestinian TV created an edited version of the shooting of al Dura with pictures of an Israeli soldier shooting spliced into the original footage. They weren't even trying to hide it. They told how they did it.
I'm sorry, we cannot use that.
Ah, yes. Well, I figured that. But we can use this. We know that Israel immediately apologized for shooting the boy. Even the French court underlying the fact that no Israeli authority or the army contested Anderland's report. We now have an official IDF statement that after re-examining old and new evidence, they now believe that the boy could not have possibly have been shot by IDF. They also request that France 2 release the raw footage.
Yes, this we can use.
Now, let me mention a few mysteries that came up while studying the tapes.
Go ahead and tell me those mysteries.
Before the alleged hit, the father has turned toward his son.
Right.
But after the hit, he's turned away and moved toward the barrel. He shows a great deal of concern for his son, who's allegedly bleeding to death. And there's no evidence of the kind of suffering one would expect to precede such a terrible death. Bleeding from a stomach wound for 20 minutes.
Good observation.
And more mysteries. All the photographers at the junction that day, and not one other than Abu Rama, recorded the tragic end of the al Duras. And no one filmed the ambulance driver. The story was that he was killed trying to rescue the child. Now, he must have been directly opposite Abu Rama's camera. What could have been more dramatic? An ambulance driver emerges and is shot and killed trying to rescue the child. Instead, Abu Rama takes other shots completely unrelated to the al Duras.
How come so few can see this in the same light as you? To us, it seems an obvious hoax, but we still have to convince the rest of the fucking world.
We'll get there, Philippe. We will. I'm preparing a petition titled Release the Raw Footage of al Dura, to be signed by as many as we can get to sign and sent to the France 2 president.
That would be wonderful. I told Philippe we must do everything we can do to change public opinion and to put all the pressure we can on France 2.
Mohammed al Dura tapes. People around the world who depend on the media for reliability, accuracy, and transparency in reporting demand that France 2 release the unedited videotapes. Rushes that its Palestinian cameraman, Halal Abu Rama, sent them on September 30th, 2000 from Gaza.
On September 30th, 2000, your Middle East correspondent, Charles Anderland, broadcast a story about Mohamed al Dura, a 12-year-old Palestinian boy. Using the footage and the testimony from his cameraman, Anderland reported that Israel had targeted and killed the boy. That allegation of deliberate murder spread instantaneously around the world. Extensive doubts have emerged about almost every claim of this explosive report, and they raise serious questions about both the journalistic integrity of the cameraman and the professional judgment of his employer, your correspondent, Charles Anderlo.
As a result, the raw footage France 2 received from Abu Rama represents key evidence in this crucial case. But instead of releasing the tapes, your institution has responded to criticism of your correspondent's broadcast by suing French citizens for defamation and keeping the tapes secret for nearly 7 years now. If France 2 reports the news responsibly and uses reliable cameramen, you have nothing to hide. Show the tapes and let the public judge whatever political or religious beliefs we hold.
Whatever we now think about what happened on September 30th, 2000, we, the undersigned, believe that all the victims and all of their loved ones on both sides of the terrible war for which Mohamed al Dura's image served as the icon, deserve that this evidence at last be shown.
We, the undersigned, respectfully but firmly request that France 2 release all the tapes from September 30th, 2000 for public inspection immediately. Sincerely, the undersigned. I implore the court to order the examination of the unedited raw footage.
Objection! Your Honor, the raw footage was not an issue in the court of first resort.
Your Honor, I beg you, the citizens of France have the right to question the media and to seek verification in the case of dubious reporting.
Right now, I want to set this issue aside and continue to hear the opening arguments.
Your Honor, Charles Anderland is a highly respected journalist. Even former President Chirac presented a letter vouching for his integrity. The court should confirm the conviction and put an end to this disgraceful spectacle.
Your Honor, our opponents bring nothing new to this court. Nothing. Anderland, release the raw film.
Monsieur Levy, please proceed.
Yes, sir.
vient de basculer près de l'implantation de Netzarim dans la bande de Gaza. Les Palestiniens ont tiré à balles réelles, les Israéliens ripostent, ambulanciers, journalistes et simples passants sont pris entre deux feux. Ici, Jamal et son fils Mohamed sont la cible de tirs venus de la position israélienne. Mohamed a 12 ans, son père tente de le protéger. Il fait des signes, mais une nouvelle rafale. Mohamed est mort et son père gravement blessé. Un policier palestinien et un conducteur d'ambulance ont également perdu la vie au cours de cette bataille.
That's the original France 2 TV broadcast from September 30th, 2000, Your Honor. It includes several discontinuous, unrelated segments.
Objection! Argumentative.
Overruled.
Now, this is segment 1. This is the Palestinian position at the junction, the one opposite the Israeli post. We hear the firing of automatic weapons, and we see a Palestinian policeman firing in the direction of the Israelis. We also see civilians running to the left to clear the area. Now, segment 2. This is a Palestinian police jeep under alleged Israeli fire.
Monsieur Karsenty, I want to see for myself.
Your Honor, I insist to...
Please proceed.
Now, the Palestinian policeman grabs his right leg and he falls to the ground. We should assume that he was hit in the leg by Israeli fire, but that can't be true. We don't see any blood.
Monsieur Karsenty, I already said it once. I want to see for myself.
I beg your pardon, Your Honor, but it took a long time to figure all this out, and a lot of what we see is only in the blink of an eye. A lot of this is crucial to understand what we see and what we don't see. Now, the man's right leg was against the jeep, away from the Israeli position.
Monsieur Karsenty, I am warning you. Monsieur Levy.
Your Honor, would you permit me?
Okay. Segment 3. Ambulance arrives on the scene. Instantly. Its driver was waiting on a queue outside the frame. We all wish for ambulances to arrive in a second. Apparently it's a norm in Gaza. Now, here in a moment we finally get to see the Al Duras. There they are. They're crouching behind that barrel in the direction of the Israelis. We hear a gunshot and we see the smoke where it hits the wall. Now we jump to the Israeli position. Remember, the Al Duras are the reason that we are here. But we hardly even see them. Well, here they are back. The father shields his son. Then he yells something in the direction of the France 2 cameraman. Then he yells and waves in the direction of the Israelis. And then back toward the France 2 photographer. Serious gunfire, smoke and dust. When all settles, the boy appears to be dead and the father dazed. And then now they jump to an unrelated ambulance evacuation in the junction area. Now, this is a very sad, terrible story. But wait, there is a happy ending to all this. We have a missing segment that Arnold contentiously omitted.
Objection, Your Honor, this is not true.
Overruled.
I'll play it again. Look! The boy's alive! He's alive! You see, he raises his elbow and his right leg, and he looks around and lowers his head and elbow again. Is he dead again? Uh-oh, he forgot to lower his leg. He leaves it suspended.
You saw it.
The shots we saw came from the direction of the Palestinian position at the Pita. Underlan and Abu Rama forgot to even mark the position of the Palestinian position at the Pita on their diagram. Again, we see no sign of blood, no bullets, and dead people come back to life. Your Honor, this whole thing was staged.
My decision is to adjourn this hearing and request the handover of the raw footage.
My God, this is a victory!
No, Philippe, it's only the first step to victory.
I know that there are many journalists here. Let me remind you that it is strictly forbidden to use recording devices, especially in this case. Reading an excerpt from the cameraman's testimony under oath, I filmed 27 minutes of the incident that lasted 45 minutes. Why are there only 18 minutes on the cassette?
France 2 never conserves raw footage, Your Honor, but this subject was exceptional, so they placed the cassette in a safe.
I still would like to know how 27 minutes boiled down to 18.
My client denies that anyone ever said there were 27 minutes. There was some irrelevant material that Monsieur Anderland chopped off the day after the incident.
I read several testimonies, including your photographers, attesting to 27 minutes, and you show only 18.
Obviously, something is missing, Your Honor.
Not true.
Your Honor, my client is not asking the court to say, yes, the footage was a fake. He is simply asking the court to acknowledge that when he said it was a fake, he was saying it in good faith with the information he had at the time. And now we even have so much more. We've seen from the various clips that much of the footage taken that day is a product of filming staged scenes. Abu Rama is seen filming the same staged scenes before the Al Dura sequence. Your Honor, this is the blatant violation of journalistic ethics. It casts doubts on Abu Rama's trustworthiness and on all his work, especially the work from that day. Anderland deliberately misled the public, apparently to strengthen this fabricated story. He falsely indicated on at least 2 occasions that the raw footage contained Mohammed's death throes, and that he had chosen to edit them out because the scene was too unbearable. Your Honor, no scenes of Mohammed's alleged death is seen in the raw footage shown to this court. On the contrary, we see that he is very much alive.
Mr. Carson.
Any comments on today's proceedings?
Well, I'm much more optimistic, I tell you. But then again, the results of the first trial weren't exactly what I had hoped. But with that said, I do trust our judicial system, and the judge here has proven to be much more thorough than in the first trial.
Yeah, if I can just add to my colleague's statement, I will say, many people told me that Anderland would doctor the tapes, and I didn't believe him. No, I thought, it's one thing to lie to me in his office, but here in court where he would surely get caught, he wouldn't be that reckless, would he? But no, he presented here an edited version that was missing at least 3 minutes and several scenes that I distinctly remember seeing. In the United States, that would be called tampering with evidence, obstruction of justice, and perjury. In France, well, we'll find out soon what it's called.
Tribunal de Grande Instance, 17th Chamber of October 19, 2006. The Court of Appeals of Paris is being delivered publicly May 21st, 2008 by the 11th Chamber of Criminal Appeals, Section A. Considering the state of the elements of the investigation, which form a factual base sufficient to allow that the statements at issue, often close to a judgment call, could have been made by the author of the article and the press release at issue to discuss subjects of such general interest as the danger of power, in this case, the power of the press, in the absence of counterbalance and the right of the public to serious information. It can be found that Philippe Karsenty exercised his right of free criticism in good faith, that in doing so he did not overstep the limits of the freedom of expression recognized in Article 10.
Mark, what's going on?
I can't believe it. I think we've won.
What?
That in doing so, he did not overstep the limits of the freedom of expression recognized in Article 10 of the European Convention on Human Rights, which applies not only to information or ideas that are met with favor or considered inoffensive or insignificant, but also to those that offend, shock, or disturb. That the decision of the lower court will therefore be overturned, the charges against Philippe Karsenty and the demands of the civil parties dismissed. On these grounds, the Court of Appeal, by judgment rendered after due hearing of the parties, and after having deliberated according to the law, declares no objection to the pleadings submitted by Philippe Karsenty, overturns the deferred judgment, and dismisses the charges against Philippe Karsenty.
I'm so happy we made it!
But don't forget the double fee.
Are you kidding? I'm not going to forget. For the first time in my life, I'll be happy to pay double. Quite unusual for a financial advisor, huh?
I would say so, yes.
Mr. Karsenty.
Yes.
Yes. What do you think really happened that morning at the junction?
You know, I don't know what happened that day. What I do know is that the video we saw in there was a hoax.
Mr. Karsenty, you've won this round, but what if France, too, takes it to the Supreme Court?
Sounds like a legal question. Would you like to take that?
Yes, thank you. If the Supreme Court decides on this case only on, they must decide only on the technical aspects of this case and not on the merits of the case. If we lose on points of law, we will return before another Court of Appeal and take advantage of the opportunity to further advertise the media's manipulation of France too and its stubbornness.
You know, one day history will judge those who spread such lies, and also those who chose to cover them by their cowardice and neglect. Year after year, I hear calls for repentance and the duty to remember. Memory of the Holocaust, of course. But what good is it to defend the memory of the extermination if it is to remain silent about the propaganda that is preparing the next? The memory should be based only on truth. As such, we have a duty to search for the truth, for today, tomorrow, and future generations. Thank you.
Mr. Karsenty!